They've done it, ladies and gentlemen. They've done it. The Mississippi State Bulldogs have their first SEC win under Jeff Lebby as JP rings the cowbell. And it was hairy. Arkansas had 2 touchdown leads, multiple points in this game, including in the fourth quarter. But they found a way to get it done. Blake Shapen hits Anthony Evans, who then breaks a tackle and finds the end zone with about 40 seconds left. And the defense holds as Mississippi State comes out of Fayetteville with a 38-35 win. I've already said it, but it's their first SEC win in 2 years. Massive one for the program. You can see how much it meant to the boys after the game, and it meant to Jeff Lebby after the game.
Oh, yeah.
But y'all's thoughts on this game?
Before I get into thoughts, just like a recap on game flow, because so much happened in this game.
Yeah.
I think it was either Paul Jones or Steve Robertson asked Lebby about it, and his question started with well, Coach, you kind of felt like you played 3 games out there today, because it really did feel that way. With the first half was Shapen, Camario's third quarter, and then Shapen in that entire fourth quarter. It really felt like we watched 3 games being played yesterday on Saturday. State on their first drive, which feels like decades ago considering everything emotionally that happened in that game. On first and second down, they had 2 yards on 8 plays, just 2 yards. On third and fourth down, 61 yards and 15 due to a penalty on 5 plays. Just a diabolical
Get
drive.
used to hearing that word penalty. You're going to hear that a lot.
Yeah, penalty, but just a diabolical first drive. With the thing that has hurt us the most the entire season has been third and long. And on third and long, essentially every single time, 61 yards, 15 due to a penalty on 5 plays. But that drive, just like in general, was crazy too. Excuse me. You have Brendan Thompson, who made the crazy catch, barely scraping it off the ground, which Brendan Thompson was incredible all day. He does essentially a very similar catch later in the game. Fluff out of the backfield, his first game back, makes a big play, leaking out on fourth down. You have the roughing the passer call. And then Booth gets a one-on-one with a corner and just dusts him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Walks into the end zone untouched.
It was a bad look for the corner.
Yeah, it was not
Flat
a good
foot.
look. Devon Booth is not also not the quickest guy.
No.
He got beat one-on-one. And that was the first drive after Arkansas had some big plays on that first drive, but the holding penalty, again, another penalty, held them back. There was also moments in the first half like Devon Booth being saved by the fair catch rule because he calls for a fair catch. He fumbles it into the end zone. He's not sure if he can take a knee or not, which technically he could have because the ball was dead anyway. He returns it, gets it out to the 13. We're saved by the fair catch rule. On the very next play, Anthony Evans catches a pass, fumbles the ball because it got punched out, but Seydou Traore recovers the fumble.
I was watching Traore more on that play actually than Anthony Evans, just because his blocking for some reason stood out to me because it was like he's upfield blocking, Anthony Evans passes him, and I was like, oh, there goes Traore. He's going to pass him by, and then the ball pops out, and he just like sprints back into screen. So it was very fortunate that for some reason that was the play. I just didn't watch the ball carrier. So I saw that whole thing develop through the guy that recovered its point of view, which was pretty wild.
It's just it's a huge momentum escape, especially it's just a huge swing that could have happened in the first half. Arkansas was uber efficient. Taylon Green was 14 for 19 for 165 for a touchdown, 10 carries for 33 yards. Malik Washington was 9 carries for 44 yards. Arkansas had 253 total yards. State had 122. So doubled us up. State could literally not run the ball whatsoever. And Arkansas also had the momentum really right before going to the half with a 3rd and 20 with 17 seconds left. A big completion to Sharp, who had a big game, puts them in field goal range. Uber efficient. Arkansas really dominated us outside of State's first drive. And yet, they only led by 6. State comes out, gets the ball first drive. It's a huge one. First play is a shot to Evans. We don't catch it. It's in double coverage. Shapen takes the huge hit. He gets knocked on his backside. Clearly one of your textbook concussion kind of plays. It's a roughing the passer. He doesn't get pulled until right before we're about to snap the ball on 1st and 10 again. But he gets pulled for concussion. The whole part of that didn't make any sense. We didn't get it felt like maybe we're just getting cuts to him from the camera that just didn't make sense. Because apparently he went into the tent multiple times, but we were never shown that.
Every time it was just him standing there with his helmet on.
We were never shown that at all on the broadcast, so we were really confused because if we're going through concussion protocol, why is he not in the tent? Apparently, again, he went into the tent multiple times.
Well, it's the SEC network broadcast, like the B or C team. So
yes, which again they were terrible. Again, more on that later. Camario comes in on Camario's drive. He has a run for 6. He runs for the first. Bothwell has a carry that was big, and then he hits a 45-yard strike on the post route to Anthony Evans. The touchdown is upheld after footage from a 3DS is too grainy to tell, which if you don't know, go watch that Anthony Evans touchdown. They try to show like the pylon cam, and it literally looks like it was recorded on a potato.
Underwater, zoomed in.
Yes, it was really bad. Anthony Evans was short, but we couldn't overturn it because you just couldn't tell.
Yeah.
You could not tell where anything was. Also, with that, the SEC crew, while they're reviewing that, is convinced that Brylan Lanier is Anthony Evans.
Yep.
And they showed him twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even in a moment when he turns around and you see his nameplate say Lanier. And they go back to him again. And so Brylan Lanier is shown on there for 30 seconds. His reaction to whether or not the touchdown is overturned, even though Anthony Evans was the one who scored it.
And then we had the biggest pause moment of the day out here, as Sanders says, it's obviously not Anthony Evans because Anthony Evans has very striking eyes.
Okay, I look at our roster a lot. Like I study our depth chart and stuff, and I know
He
our players.
studies those
have
eyes.
You, have
He
you
gets
okay?
lost
Have
in
you
them.
seen his headshot?
Yes, I know what he looks like. Yes, that's a fair
Fair?
take, but
Thank you.
that's definitely a pause.
It's because I'm like he's one of the most like noticeable, in my opinion, like noticeable
Sanders
players.
gets lost in those eyes.
That is funny.
He's one of the most noticeable players on the roster, in my opinion. And so to just be like, oh, well, this is clear. And I also just know our roster like really well. And so
Sure.
unfortunately for the cameraman, they do not clearly. I know what Anthony Evans looks like, which maybe I should be the cameraman going forward. No. It was a tough look for them for sure doing that.
It was a really bad look. Camario again comes in. He leads a decent drive past midfield, can't convert on 4th down. He gets another chance, is able to drive down the field, scrambles for a big touchdown. And then somehow Chapin fought apparently really hard to get back there on the field, which, as he should. It's that classic meme of the starting quarterback watching the backup play, and then the backup's playing really well, and so he's concerned about his job.
Yeah. He's pretty good for a backup.
Yeah.
No, he playing well.
Yeah, he doesn't
overall.
want to celebrate too hard because he
Yeah.
realizes his future is passing him by right in front of him. And somehow, Blake Chapin is thrown back into the game, which amazed, shocked, whatever word you want to use there, everybody. The announcers, our teams in the media, Brian Haydad, Robbie Falk, us, I would assume Arkansas fans, I would assume people in the stadium. And the very first pass from Blake Chapin is thrown a little high, but Anthony Evans with his striking eyes can't look it in.
Yeah.
It's
just
tips over his
Chapin got
hand.
lost in those eyes, throwing it to him. He was like,
Apparently.
"Oh, he's open. Oh man, those eyes!" And then in that split moment, it just sails a little bit.
sails a little bit, tipped off Evans. It's picked. Very first play, Chapin comes into the game. Arkansas goes down the field, scores a touchdown. It's 21-35. And now Chapin's job is on the line for sure. And I think potentially Lebby's job was on the line at that point as well.
100%. When you bench the guy who's playing really well,
Yes.
for the guy who's made some questionable decisions and missed some big time throws throughout the season, when that's kind of when you're like so confident in your judge of your quarterbacks that you have available that you bench the guy that's playing well, like that is your job on the line, in my opinion.
And from there, Lebby and Chapin secure their jobs by leading 3 straight scoring drives, 9 plays, 75 yards for a touchdown, 8 plays, 43 yards for a field goal, and 10 plays, 69 yards for a touchdown. Big shout out to the defense because in between those 3 drives are a 4-and-out punt, a 4-and-out punt, and a 4-and-out turnover on downs for the Arkansas offense that have been cooking the defense all day, as they do against really any defense in the country. That's how good Taylor Green and that offense can be. And the Bulldogs pull off a miracle, and to the tune of Hunchback of Notre Dame or Notre Dame, depending on who you ask.
Mixed
Anthony
with How to Train Your
Evans,
Dragon.
correct. I forgot to mention that.
No, Test Flight.
Yes, Anthony Evans scores the game-winning touchdown on 4th and 5, and the Dogs get their first SEC win. And now, unless you have some more things from the game, we can go to takeaways.
Yeah, I've got a couple things from the game that you hit on, but I just wanted to reaffirm how kind of crazy it is. First of all, you said with the first half we finished with 12 rushing yards.
Yes.
Against an Arkansas team that allowed 200 a game all season. So there were a lot of concerns there. Why were we not able to get any run game going? Not excuses, but some of the realism is missing. Albert Reese is a possible harmful. Fluff Bothwell playing, but maybe not at 100%. Maybe that's a reason the run game struggled to get going. But that was a big concern kind of going into the second half. We scored 7 points against Arkansas's defense, who has kind of been the butt of a bunch of defensive jokes because they can't play defense. But their offense is good enough to keep them in games. They lose to A&M by 3, but defensively they're just not good.
They had been giving up
bad.
40.1 points per game against Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
Including, if you include Memphis in that, which is essentially a Power 4 team. 40.1 points per game. We were on pace for 14 at halftime.
Yeah. And then another thing, because I don't want us I want to not defend Blake Shapen. I just want to say this. Kamario Taylor came in and played well, but on the drive, he doesn't score a touchdown. He does miss an open guy on, I think, was it 3rd down or 4th? Did we go
on
for it on
4th
4th
down? He technically misses Aiden Williams throwing it to Seydu.
And then he also misses the deep shot where he overthrows it to the safety.
The post route.
And the dart to Anthony Evans was a little underthrown. I just don't want us to get lost in the, oh my gosh, Kamario Taylor played perfect.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's fair to him. That sets expectations too high if he plays again. Like Tucker said it really well.
Yes.
Every time I see Kamario Taylor play, it reinforces the idea that he's going to be great, but he's not ready yet. He came in, and without him, we would not have won that game. But I don't want to get lost in the highlights, the 2 touchdowns, and forget that he's still a freshman and misses some throws and made some mistakes.
That being said, though, I still do agree with how people probably felt, which is why they were shocked. The game script called for him to continue playing.
It was clear Arkansas was not ready for the rushing quarterback.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And so it worked out. You won the game. But I think if Kamario stays in, he continues to have great success on the ground the rest of the game.
We might have still won that game anyway.
Correct.
So it definitely could have been the same story, potentially, just better for Kamario. Padlock stat of the game, Arkansas penalties, 18 penalties for 193 yards.
Yeah.
And I even tried
Ridiculous.
to go okay, let's just talk about the fourth quarter, but it still is a lot of yards, and there were still a ton of penalties before that. But in the fourth quarter, which is where they choked the game away, they lost the fourth quarter 17-0. 15-yard roughing the passer on 2nd and 20. A 12-yard pass interference that gave State a 1st and goal. And then for their offense, a 10-yard holding on a 14-yard first down carry, taking away a first down, which would have helped them ice the clock out and potentially ice the game. A 15-yard, you have the 15-yard unnecessary roughness on a negative 5-yard rush by Devon Booth.
Yeah.
Where he takes Devon Booth again 10 yards further down the field and then suplexes him.
Slings him down. Was not a suplex.
No, he
Slung
suplexed him.
Slung him down.
He suplexed him. You have the 5-yard running into the kicker after Kyle Ferry missed the kick,
Yeah,
which gave us another chance. Kyle Ferry makes it. You have another 10-yard holding on another 13-yard first down carry, and then the intentional grounding to lose the game, which would have put you over 200 penalty yards, but because the game was over on that snap, the penalty yards did not go to
It wasn't over on that snap. We had to kneel it out.
That was... Well, okay, never mind. Regardless, essentially 68 yards. I would say 68 yards. Definitely
Maybe
not
slightly less than that.
Well, technically it was, but I would round up to 68 yards personally, of penalties in the fourth quarter. The Bulldogs are 5-1 in their last 6 trips to Fayetteville, which is crazy to even think that that's the truth. For me, I've got 3 narratives from this game about Mississippi State that I want to discuss. But are there any other takeaways before I get into those?
Not right now, but they might come up as we go. My
Okay.
brain doesn't recall information
So the
like it's a
first
filing
one,
cabinet.
which has came from a lot of people over multiple weeks, a lot of burners on Twitter, friends of ours, even people here on set.
Sure.
Kamario Taylor should start. Here's the positives for that. Led 2 touchdown drives on 3 attempts. Dangerous with his legs. Like Jack said, they weren't ready for a rushing quarterback. He has 6 carries for 56 yards and the 45-yard strike to Anthony Evans for a touchdown. But on the other side, he misses Booth where it was too hard on a check down. He
Yep.
misses Anthony
Almost
Evans.
intercepted.
Almost intercepted. Excuse me. He misses Anthony Evans down the field. Again, too far. Also could have been picked. He misses Aiden Williams open on the 4th down. He doesn't show the ability to throw a touch right now, and he's really reliant on his legs, really quick to scramble instead of get it out quickly. So there's your arguments on both sides there. Going forward, I obviously still Shapen should have the job. The future is bright with Kamario, but I think there's too much on the negative side, or at least from a few moments in that game, to say Kamario Taylor should start, which I still think is an opinion that people have. In fact, I know they do because I saw multiple occurrences of it on Twitter, even after the game. Some even to say Kamario should start the rest of the year, also still fire Lebby after the Bulldogs won 38-35 from Davis Newton.
Bold.
They were also
I know him. That's crazy.
They were double-digit likes on that post.
Oh, dear.
I'll have one that I'll talk about with Blake Shapen here in a second, which is my second narrative. Blake Shapen is buns. Very common narrative for Mississippi State. Of course, he was 16 for 28, not efficient. His first play back was a pick off of a drop. He's not a runner, of course, was sacked twice in key moments. But 21-35, fourth quarter, his last 2 passes had been dropped by a receiver. It doesn't matter. He converts on a 3rd and 9 with a 33-yard seed to Anthony Evans. The best throw of the day, by far, in between 3 guys. And he takes the roughing the passer on top of that, gets up, continues to lead the drive, hits Brennan Thompson for a first down. The Dogs get into field goal range, 31-35. And then the game-winning drive, a 32-yard dime to Brennan Thompson on 4th and 7. Perfect communication between receiver and quarterback. That's what trust is right there. Throwing it short of the receiver. Receiver knows, looks back for the ball, perfectly catches it on a back shoulder fade. Blake Shapen has the 8-yard carry. And then on 3rd and 5, which isn't being talked about because 4th and 5 was the play that won the game, he delivered a perfect ball to Aiden Williams. It hits Aiden Williams in the hands on the run. Aiden Williams drops it. And then on 4th and 5, the dime on the out route to Anthony Evans in the game winner. So there's your debate right there on Blake Shapen his buns. I know people still feel that way, but there were also examples that helped me in my argument as a Blake Shapen defender.
Sure.
Clearly, my last one, Jeff Lebby in the clutch, and I think this is the biggest one of the takeaways. On top of that is also like the fire Lebby, which I mentioned in that tweet as well. Kamario scored 2 touchdowns on 3 drives. Why put Blake Shapen back in? And then he makes the mistake he again made against Texas twice. On 3rd and 7, on the last drive, he doesn't call timeout. On a critical play, 3rd and 7, we trail by 7, just under 6 minutes left on the Arkansas 17. He doesn't call timeout. He notices, and maybe he doesn't like the plays he has. He has walked up to the ref once again. He's standing next to the ref, ready to call the timeout. Doesn't call it. We take a false start. 3rd and 12, we get sacked. Literally the exact same thing that happened last week against Texas. But thankfully, Kyle Ferry makes the field goal, and we get points out of that drive. But we very easily could have not, because
Right.
Ferry had to kick a 54-yarder was the first one, and then a 49-yarder,
Something
or
like
it
that.
might
I'm
have
not
something
positive.
like that.
Yeah.
But to Lebby's defense, he learned from his mistakes the very following drive. But before that, just the ability to switch the play calling as soon as Camario had to come in, because he called a completely different game when Camario had to come in as opposed to Blake Shapen. He's calling more, obviously, quarterback runs.
Yeah.
Because that is Camario's strength, and then easy completions he's trying to find for him. And yet, the guts to put Blake Shapen back in a situation that made no sense. The guts to put Shapen back in again after Shapen throws an interception on the very first play. Fourth quarter, down 14, 0-12 in the SEC play. Probably lost the entire fan base if we lose this game. Maybe loses his job. He calls 3 straight scoring drives. When it matters most, you have to play, of course, on 4th and 7. And then learning from your mistakes the drive prior. After a 2nd and 9 scramble from Blake Shapen to get to 3rd and 5, he calls timeout. Albeit he called it 6 seconds too early, or 7 seconds, one of the two.
Oh.
There was
We're good,
space
we're
between
good.
that. He should have called it at 50 seconds, but that's nitpicking.
Yeah.
He calls it at 57, I do believe. But he calls the timeout. He gets them into their best play. It doesn't work. He calls timeout again to discuss, to get them into the right spot, to get them in the right play. And finally, Jeff Lebby has gotten his first SEC win because of that. For me, those are the 3 biggest narratives of the game. There are arguments on both sides, which will make this coming Saturday very, very interesting. But congrats to State. Congrats to Jeff Lebby.
Sure.
The reactions in the locker room were everything. Emotional for a ton of players. A lot of dancing, as we predicted. We didn't see Jeff Lebby dancing. I didn't see a clip of that, at least.
I did not.
He just
But-
might not be a dancer.
It looked like a Chris Jan's Mississippi State locker room after a win. A lot of dancing. Game balls went to Malik Sila and Anthony Evans. Gig'em, and Blake Shapen. And then Shapen gave his game ball to Jeff Lebby.
They also, did you see the Brennan Thompson clip? Give one to Levy.
Yes, Brendan Thompson.
I think that was my favorite clip.
as well. Brendan Thompson was not frustrated this Saturday.
He was cheesing.
He was cheesing. He was very, very happy. The Dogs are 5-4. I think the only thing out of those locker room celebrations is you maybe feel concern for the lack of recognition of Camario, but I'd assume that was recognized in some
Had
way.
to have been. Had to have been.
Because he recognized it in his post-game press conference.
Blake talked about in his post game saying I think he gave his game ball to Camario.
Awesome.
Did you? I thought that was a clip. Maybe I was the only one that saw that. But yeah, Blake said, I believe in his post game, or I saw it somewhere that he got a game ball, but he gave it to KT. The takeaways. It was just a really great win. Seeing Blake Shapen takes that knee, they pan to Lebby walking on the field for the handshakes, and he's got Isaac Smith with like a big arm around him, like giving him a hug. That was just really cool because I do love Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans and how quickly they've impacted the game, but there's something special about guys who've been here their whole careers, and I hope will either go to the NFL or play a 4th year and finish out their career here, right? They are dogs, start to finish, and so seeing him like the first guy to congratulate Lebby, the same way Camario was the first guy we saw on camera after the Arizona State win, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels really good. That those are the guys that are representing our school, because it's just they're doing it really well, and they're really fun to watch. Stressful at times, but really fun to watch.
Dogs.
The cardiac dogs do often strike. Did you want to talk about those narratives? Because I know Jack said he had a thought.
If you want to.
He said he wanted to offer. His
I do want to
opinion
say
on the Camario
there is
Taylor.
also one tweet that I wanted to read.
Sure. You can read the tweet, and then I can.
From Clint Dixon III, Esquire, which is he is also tagged as. Despite Blake Shapen's best efforts, the Dogs win. Huh. Did he watch the fourth quarter? There was also double-digit likes on that tweet.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because
Diabolical.
that kind of tunes into my thing of like, and Tucker basically already said it, but like I love Camario. I think a lot of the success he had as a runner is real, and I do think a lot of it was matchup dependent and what Arkansas had game planned for.
Yeah.
And so I would just have full confidence that Shapen's still the right guy going forward. He came back in and won you the game. The pick was not on him. It
Not
was,
at all.
I think it texted to y'all, but it was like, oh, the discourse is about to be crazy after he threw that. But Anthony Evans has to catch that.
Yeah.
Simply has to. You can say it was a little high. It was a little high, but you have to catch that football. And he gets the job done. And, I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm a Shapen defender. I get being really excited about Camario, but the hate is crazy for a guy that finally just won you y'all's first SEC game in 2 years. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Shapen is going to be the guy come Saturday.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
He won y'all the game.
Yeah.
He won state the game. If he didn't win you the game, different conversations, but he won the game.
Trying to think. Okay, this is something. And Jack, so the game is wrapping up, or not wrapping up. We are mounting our comeback. And at one point I said to Jack, and I was definitely getting ahead of myself, but I was like, even if we win this game, I don't know how good it's going to feel given the refereeing. It felt great. I was, I feel great about the win. I'm very glad that we won, and it was awesome to get celebrated, and I went crazy.
I don't
of course.
hate any of the calls, though.
There were bad calls.
Okay, so the game finishes, and I've done my whooping and hollering, jumping up and down, celebrating. I'm sitting down, enjoying it, and I look over at Jack, probably like 30 minutes after the game, and he's like, I think everyone had left, and it was me and him and Wynn hanging out, and he was like, yeah, I wasn't really gonna say anything, but like the rest, like that was atrocious, and I was like, oh, I'm aware.
You brought it up first.
Yeah,
I
brought
said
it up.
I'm not going to say anything because I'll get labeled a hater.
I was like, you are not going to be labeled a hater. The refereeing, JP, was atrocious. They did not referee that game equally at all. The unnecessary roughness that went our way, and then the one that didn't go Arkansas's way, was egregious. That was bad.
State was allowed to be physical to and through the whistle, and Arkansas was not allowed that same
courtesy.
Thank you.
Talking
about
the late hit on your suplex, like when we can't hear a whistle. Maybe there was a whistle.
Well, I mean, you can see the ref. He goes to blow the whistle. The whistle just gets up to his mouth as the Arkansas guy is swinging him down.
Which we've talked on this show before about playing to the whistle, right?
Sure.
Whoever was it, Booth that he was tackling,
yes,
was still trying to get out of the tackle up until the point where he threw him to the ground. So he's playing to the whistle. That gets called a flag.
And if you want to flag that, that's fine. But then when the Arkansas guy's getting tackled 8 yards out of bounds,
yeah,
you need to throw the same flag.
That wasn't a flag, though. It was a continuation. He was already engaged.
A continuation?
But he throws him to the ground. He throws him
Okay.
to the ground.
It was a continuation of the motion he was already in, and he touches
There's
him
extra
before
at the end. There's
he
extra
touches
at
think-
the
Well,
end.
because
You
he's
think-
falling forward with momentum.
You think
There's
that
a difference
we committed
in
4 penalties yesterday?
Yes, because that's how it was ref, man. Like I don't know what you want to tell. I don't
want you
because
to,
I don't disagree with the calls that I saw. That one is I don't think it was unnecessary roughness on us because when he first creates contact, they are both in bounds, and it is a continuation of the momentum of what had been occurring. It's different from the suplex because he literally has to take Booth and twist him and turn him.
Because there's not been a whistle yet.
That
and
is
Booth
not
is
the
fighting.
momentum was the way he was going forward. He's going forward, and then he has to take him and twist him and throw him to the ground.
Momentum's one thing if the tackle happens 2 yards out of bounds. When it's 8,
He also
and he's
tackled
still
him 10
coming
yards
him
down the field.
The biggest one to me is when Taylor Green slides and gets clocked in the head, and
Yep.
they don't throw a flag on
Didn't
that.
throw a flag for that one. That was kind of rough.
Unnecessary roughness, which they're throwing that all the freaking time. That's the one that I really think. And
Can't recall how that one went off the top of my head.
Taylor
was
Green just
scrambles
slides,
to
and the
the
state
right.
guy comes through, and Taylor just takes, I believe, a knee to the head as the state guy's coming through.
Like the state guy goes over him, but he doesn't clear him. He makes contact with him.
Pretty severe contact to the head.
Look, I think that one could have gone either way. Honestly, I think that would
I don't know about that.
Sliding
When-
quarterbacks. Breaking news: sliding quarterbacks no longer protected when JP's
Which a lot of it is-
when he because if you're going to continue, I think there was a middle ground there. I think he had already been in. He was already diving towards him before Taylor Green had slid. And if we're just going to call it whenever it happens on the
Taylor
slide,
Green was already fully down and he gets
Then-
hit in the head.
Agreed. But that is with a very slowed down camera.
Yeah.
Sure, but
If-
they don't
if
ever
we're gonna
they don't
call
ever
that
call it
one-
like that.
Okay.
If there's contact to the QB that's on the ground, they're throwing the
Okay,
flag.
well then Josh Allen should have got 15 yards earlier today when he got hit on the
he
head.
didn't get hit in the head
He literally got hit on the head
He get-
with a hand. He got hit on the head with a
with the
hand.
hand. That knee is big difference. The biggest thing to me is it's like Taylor Green gets hurt because he's a 6'5" physical unit, and Blake
Hits on him don't
Chapin
look the
has
same.
wimpy white boy syndrome and is getting
Was that not targeting?
huh?
Was that not targeting?
No, but if you're gonna, I was targeting. He gets hit with the crown of the helmet to the helmet.
Wasn't he a runner at the time? Was he not a runner?
I'm pretty sure he was.
He was a
running,
runner.
yes.
But you take crown of the helmet to the face mask, someone's helmet, you're getting called
Yeah.
targeting.
Okay, that should have been called. I don't like that that's called targeting because Blake lowers his head as well. I think that's a stupid way that rule's handled, but we don't have to get into that.
All that to say, Arkansas should have had 13 penalties instead of 19, and State should have had 6 instead of 4, and there were many more reasons Arkansas lost the game than the penalties.
I really think that we're calling penalties that I think are there's some difference there because the penalties that I thought mattered are the 2 holding calls on first down carries in the fourth quarter that are completely different.
The missed roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness on the slide is the big one to me because that extends that drive.
Sure.
And it might have ended up being a 3 and out on that possession, and y'all get ball back. But example, like running into the kicker that almost directly loses in the game because Ferry misses the kick.
Yes.
And then it would have been a tie game when they get the ball back. But instead, you're an idiot for trying to block a 50-yarder or whatever it was. Like, let the college
if that's
kicker.
going to get blocked, it's going to get blocked at the line because you have to angle it down so low to
Yeah.
get the distance. Like
Yes.
you're not coming around the corner on that one.
Let the college kicker take the 50-yarder and just make him make it.
Yeah.
So it was bad, but
I don't disagree with Tucker either. With what he said as a State fan, he's confident that we've been screwed enough by the refs that he's going to be okay with it potentially going our way for the first time in a millennium.
I am okay with it. I am just.
I think Bobby
I
P
am
has
just-
real reason to gripe the
I
way
just
he did in the
recognize
presser.
that the refereeing was atrocious in our favor. I'm okay with it because it happens. It's happened against us. But the reality is it was atrocious.
For me, though, I don't think that my biggest feeling is the refereeing was not the reason that we won the game because of blown calls. My most traumatic moment ever revolves around a referee where a pass interference is not called.
Yeah.
That changed the entire game.
Yeah.
That I understand feeling griping about. I understand maybe being upset about a penalty here and there, but at the end of the day, they still committed so many that they cost themselves the game.
Yeah.
They are the one that cooked all day offensively and then again got into the fourth quarter and went cold again. You don't commit some of these you don't put yourself in situations to commit these kinds of penalties if you aren't being coached properly.
Yeah.
If you don't have discipline being enforced within your team. And so you are put in situations, you put yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
And then you put the onus on a referee whether or not to make the right judgment in a split second. And so that for me is the reason they lost the game. State still went out and won the damn game too.
I agree.
I
State
agree.
won the game.
One other thing that was crazy, talking about the broadcast and everything, they were constantly putting flags on the score bug very late, and so it would literally be we would get off the field on third down going into fourth, and I'd be sitting there are there any flags? I was not comfortable until the punt had left the punter's hand, because I feel like they were dropping late flags, and maybe it was just a score bug, and then. And Andrew's right. We shouldn't feel sorry for Arkansas fans. We went out and took advantage of the way the game was called.
The only person I feel sorry for is Taylor Green.
Yeah. And the big reason
I as well.
the big reason I don't feel sorry for Arkansas fans is the one of the cleanest tackles of the game, in my opinion, the sack on the intentional grounding. They're posting screenshots trying to be like face mask, horse collar, roughing the passer, and I'm like, he had the ball, he started the tackle, he intentionally grounded the ball, did not get it to the line of scrimmage, or wasn't. I don't remember. I think that was the situation, and so they
correct.
Like
And they
that was a
flopped
great
and
tackle.
cried.
But I probably had a 15-second rant because that referee walks up to that quarterback so slow, and he looks at the offense. And I was a little nervous given the way I didn't think the game had been refereed well. I did not think that they were. It was just a weird game being refereed. If it's 18-4, I think that's always going to be weird because there's very rarely a situation where one team commits 18 penalties and the other team commits 4. It's college football. That doesn't really happen very
One
often.
team is just much better than the other.
Yeah,
Not this
State,
game.
State
Anyway.
magically fixes all discipline
But
issues.
that
Haven't had a ton of
referee
penalty
walks
issues.
up.
That's the
lying.
biggest
Yeah.
gap
I'm
of all
lying.
time.
I'm
Okay.
lying. I'm
Biggest
lying.
gap
I'm
of all
lying.
time.
I'm lying.
The referee
I am
walks up.
lying.
The referee walks up. He looks at Taylor Green on the ground, looks at offensive lineman, looks around, and drops that flag. And I exploded because I thought he's about to call roughing the passer because they had been acting weird about physicality all game.
Yeah.
And I yelled at that TV for probably 20 seconds, and then they call intentional grounding. I was like, my bad. I didn't know you were like that. That's on me.
That was cinema from the ref. He did such a good job. Just walks up as casual as can be and just flips it out of
Which,
his
like,
pocket
in
right
hindsight,
next to
like,
Taylor
he
Green.
was looking to the referee on the sideline to see did the ball get
Yes,
to the line of
correct.
scrimmage. I did not realize that in my rage, so I lost it.
It was also one of the things, too, of, like, rationally, you think intentional grounding, but you go from celebrating to seeing the flag, and you immediately think, like,
Worst case.
sure, they could have called roughing passer, but even my thought was, like, oh, did he grab the face mask and I just missed it?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then I was like, oh, wait, it's intentional grounding. And then they were like, oh, yeah, it's intentional grounding. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
So we got the dub. I can't wait for this weekend. There's going to be a lot of Georgia fans because there were a lot of Georgia fans 2 years ago. It's just teams travel here. I am excited. I think the student section is going to be full yet again. I really hope that the home side is full, and I hope that the upper decks are full. We've got game day. We've got Barstool as well, apparently.
SEC Nation.
Thank you.
Game day
SEC
be
Nation.
crazy.
SEC Nation.
No, game day is going to the better game with the better team.
Yeah.
Our other team.
Go Cougs.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. It's going to be a great weekend.
Sure. Shall we move on?
Let's. What did we? It was at 112, so 30.
My line was 32.5, and we just hit the under.
No, we're at the over.
We're at the
Was
over.
it at 118?
I thought it was
112.
112.
I thought it was at 118.
So I was
Okay,
wrong.
never
I took
mind.
the under, but we were over by like 5 minutes. So it was a
Okay.
pretty good line.
Yeah. All right.
mind.
Hail State.